Welcome to another exploration of the world around us with Intel's Mini Scientist. I'm Phil, and the whole idea of what we're doing with these videos and lesson plans is to give you a walkthrough of the subject, have some fun, learn some stuff, and show you just how good you are at science, technology, engineering, and maths, whether you know it or not. We'll walk you through each lesson step by step so you, your buddy, and your teachers can figure out your own way through it all. There's no pressure. And look, don't worry if you get caught going round in circles. Going round in circles is how you build up momentum, speed up, and eventually fire off in a spectacular direction of discovery to invention. And that's exactly what we're looking at today, the makings of invention. Today's work fits into the material strand of science, and in particular we're looking at the properties and characteristics of materials. What they look like, how they behave, and how they can change. To start off, what I want you to do is to look around you. Yeah, just look around you, or the space that you're in. The world that we live in is made up of all types of materials used for all sorts of things. Shoes, books, furniture, bikes, buildings, false teeth, you name it, it's made of something. And in fact, it's usually made of quite a few somethings, all working together to make a finished thing. But not all materials are the same, and selecting the right materials is an important part of inventing, designing, and building. Think of the clothes that we wear, the furniture that we sit in, the toys that we play with, and the cars that we move around in. Why do we wear clothes made of fabric, planes out of metal, and beds out of wood? Why don't we wear clothes made out of metal, flying planes made of wood, and sleeping beds made of fabric? Well, because materials have different properties, and some are really good for some jobs and not really good at others. Metal clothes would be strong, but they're really heavy and hard to move in, although you would look like a robot. A bed made completely out of fabric may be comfy, but it would be floppy and not very strong. A wooden plane might be too heavy to carry hundreds of people and deal with the effects of the weather. So what do you gotta do? You gotta test stuff. And by working scientifically, testing materials, we can see what properties they have and figure out what they would be most useful for. And that's what we're gonna do today. In this lesson, you're going to carry out a few experiments to test a range of material to learn about their properties. Follow me to the test facility.
It's just a table.
It's a testing facility. Okay, it's a table. So you're very welcome to our testing facility.
It's a table.
It's a table where we're going to present you with a number of scenarios or problems that we'd like you to try and solve. Now, you and your buddy should work together to come up with not only the best material for the job, but the best reasons why after you've done the testing. Now, you'll get a problem, you'll come up with an idea or a test, you'll test the material, record your answers, and evaluate your results. You ready? Let's begin with conduction and insulation. Now, don't worry if any of these words sound big or you don't understand them. You'll learn as you do and as you go along. But the problem that we're faced with is a big one. The fridge in the lab has broken, and some crucial ice cream research is in danger. How can we keep things, the ice cream, which is really important, inside, cold, until a mechanic arrives and she can fix the fridge? You need to test which of the different materials will work best at conducting, moving, or insulating, stopping heat. So let's start with conduction. The aim of this experiment is to test what materials conduct heat best. Materials that allow, or that are more conductive, allow the heat from whatever source it is to move through them quicker. So we have 3 different spoons made of 3 different materials that we're going to try out. It's a spoon-off. So let's get our spoons. So I have a spoon made of metal, I have one made of plastic, and I have one made of wood. And what I am going to do is I'm going to butter my spoons. Yes, a statement you'd never thought I'd say. It's very technical. We're going to take a smidge, which is a small amount of butter. It's a tiny, like about that much. And we're going to butter my spoons. I'm going to put a piece of butter on the top of the wooden spoon. I'm going to take a piece of butter, which should be about the same size because we want to keep things consistent. Okay, there we go, butter. There we go. And I'm going to take a little bit off because make sure it's the same size, same amount. Very good. And then I'm going to take another little bit of butter, another smidge of butter, and I'm going to put it on my metal spoon. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take some warm water. Now, with this warm water, it doesn't need to be boiling, but it needs to be hot. So ask for help if you need it. And we're going to pour it into the dish. And what's going to happen is the heat from the hot water is going to travel up the materials. And then we'll see, and actually already, oh, the butter's moving. So actually, I need to write these results while I do. So I've got a wooden spoon. I've got a plastic spoon. I should have prepared a little bit better. And a metal spoon. So we're writing which one conducts heat better. Oh, wow. Actually, look at this. So, what conclusions can we draw from this? Like, have a chat with your buddy and see what's going on here. It's not really a head scratcher. You can kind of see that the metal spoon seems to be able to conduct the heat much, much better. So it's making the butter melt, and that's sliding slowly down the spoon. Whereas the plastic and the wooden spoon, the butter isn't moving at all. Actually, look, butter's on its slide, heading down. Woo! This is actually kind of fun. Awesome. Okay, so metal spoon, conducted, really. Now, maybe what could we have done to make that a bit better? We could have had a stopwatch to see how long it could, and we could. Now, the other things is they aren't moving at all, and we could watch them for ages. And this is what you can do. You can do a recording of how long each different material, because some materials are better at conducting than others. And it seems like metal is really, really good at conducting heat. And this is why saucepans are made out of metal, because they allow heat to travel through them from the cooker to the food inside and heat them up. So, good. First start, we're done. Metal, really good conductor. Okay, we'll move that out of the way, and we're going to do some more testing because we want to test what will insulate or stop heat as well. So the aim of this experiment is to now test what materials insulate best, which is the opposite of what we just tested. So we have to come up with another test. So materials that are insulators, like I said, are good at stopping heat from passing through them. So like think of like your woolly coat on a warm day, keeping your body heat in, or an ice box at your picnic food on a hot day. So we're going to test which materials are the best to prevent ice cubes from melting, because our research is about the ice cream that's in the fridge, and see which ones are the best insulators. So what I have here is Le Sponge, which is a French sponge. I have some tin foil made out of metal. I have some bubble wrap, and I have Nature's Best, a leaf. So what we're going to do again is we're going to take our warm water and we're going to pour it into the dish here. So again, if you need help with this, pour it in here. Now, what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to do a better job, and I'm going to write down stuff before I start. So with this one now you can use the worksheets that we have in your lesson plans, or you can do what I'm doing, which is write them down yourself. So I'm going to write down tin foil. I'm going to write down sponge. I'm going to write down bubble wrap. And I'm going to write down leaf. And I'm going to write insulators. And I'm going to draw a line and down and down and down and down and down. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put these all on top of the hot water. And you can do this yourself, whatever container, whatever way you want to design your experiment yourself. This is what we're doing. So we have some ice. So I'm going to take my ice, which is a little bit slippy and cold. I'm going to put it on the bubble wrap first. I'm going to take another similar piece. I'm going to put it on the leaf. I'm going to take another bit. And I'm going to put it on the sponge. And then I'm going to take another bit. You're so slippy. Stop being slippy. And then I'm going to put another bit on the metal. Now, now, cold fingers. We are watching. So the heat from the warm water is traveling up through these. Now, this is just a little metal mesh, and it's hitting the surfaces underneath. And what we want to see is which one is going to keep the heat away from the ice cube, i.e. stop it melting, which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to stop and save the ice cream in the fridge because it's crucial for my lunch. So, okay, what's happening? So again, sometimes in science, these takes a little bit of time. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave it, we're going to have our pen, we're going to watch, and we're going to see what happens over a little bit of time. Let's have a look. Okay, let's have a look. So we've left it for a few minutes, and before we do this, we would have had a guess in our mind which one we thought might have been working. We might have written down a prediction. So let's see how we're getting on. So the The leaf, there's a bit of melting happening. You can see some of the water is coming out there. The sponge is a bit thicker, but it also has lots of little bits of air inside a sponge, like it's lots of little holes, so that's acting as a good insulator. The bubble wrap as well, yeah, not much melting, and there's air inside bubble wrap as well in the bubbles, and that's a really good insulator. So that doesn't seem like it's melting at all. And then the tin foil, yeah, look, okay, you can see it there. The tin foil, you can see that there's water, there's a pool of water forming at the bottom. Cool. So think back to the last experiment. What did we learn there and how is it similar and how can we use it here? So we saw in the last one that the metal was really conductive, so the butter slid down it. And this one, the ice is melting the most. So that also plays true that we've kind of repeated that experiment. So we've seen that the sponge and the bubble wrap, which are the ones that both have air in it, are really good insulators. So it's great to see that in order to save our research ice cream, which is totally a real thing and exactly what we should have spent that grant money on, that there are loads of tests that we can do to reaffirm and figure out how to solve our problem. So the important thing with all of this is no matter what test you're doing is that you work together, you plan out your work, and then you do tests to help you make a better choice of material to solve the problem that you're doing. Like, let's have another problem that we could do. Like, say, I'll just move this over here. Nice and safely. Say, give me another problem. Say you've lost your footstool and you need to reach the high shelf in the lab, like the really high one where Avian keeps all the lab biscuits that I'm not allowed to eat. What materials could you use to make a small platform to boost you up a little bit? So we test maybe how things were rigid or flexible or strong with different materials. So for this, you might want to make a setup like this. Now, I have just got a bit of a filing cabinet bit here. I'm going to put them here, and I have my 5 different things that I want to test. I have a wooden spike, I have a paper straw, I have a plastic straw, I have a metal rod, and I have a bit of plastic as well. So we're going to test the strength of these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some tape and I'm going to put them out over the edge of this. And I'm going to do that really seamlessly and coolly and perfectly. And we want to make sure that if we're testing that it's the same test for all of them. So we're going to make sure that they're going out the same amount. While you were doing this, your buddy might write down what you're testing. So again, recording what you're doing is really important so that you can remember later on, but also, you know, you can tell other people about your research then as well. So we've got our metal straw down, we've got our plastic straw down, or metal rod down, we've got a plastic straw down, we've got a paper straw. Rods and straws are getting me confused. And then we have a wooden bit. Sounds amazing. And then we're going to put our plastic bit at the end. So, plastic, wood, paper, plastic, metal. So we want to test how strong things are. So we have a few weights that we're going to put behind them. So we're going to test our metal one first. We've just got weights on a string and put them on here. So what happens? Metal, pretty strong, doesn't bend at all. So that could be good, could be holding weight. Well, okay, let's put it on the plastic straw. Ooh, bit of bend. Bit of bend on that one. Flexible, it's still holding up the weight, so that's good. Nice circular shape. So it's not only what it's made of, it's how the material is shaped in. So we need to consider that too. Same shape, different material. Yeah, not bending as much, so still good with this weight. Wood, same shape, different material. Yeah, okay, that's good as 2. Like, so the circular shape, and then we have, so all of these seem to be pretty good at this weight. So if we were to just stop there, we'd go, okay, everything's perfect to build it out of this material. Whereas you're standing on this, so you want to make sure you test it to its limit to make sure it's fit for purpose. It does its job. So let's try a heavier weight on all of these. So we'll try the metal one first, and metal one, no problem. That's good, strong metal. Good at conducting. And bad at insulating, but this. Okay, so let's put the metal weight on this. Okay, straight away. So that's not able to. So even though it was able to hold the weight earlier on, it would not be good. No, even as soon as I let go, it would not be good to make your footstool to get the biscuits that we crucially need for research out of a thin plastic. Okay, so let's try paper. Now, see this one? Oh, okay, I'm surprised. So it's stronger than, now it's slowly dipping down, and eventually that might break. It's stronger than the thin plastic. So, okay, so we're finding out. We could write this down. We would have made predictions about this as well. We would have thought about which one we thought is going to be. So let's make a prediction now about the wood and the thick plastic that's left at the end. What do we think is going to happen? Have a chat with your buddy. See what you think is going to happen. Okay, so with the wood, you ready for this one? Okay, so bends, It's nice and flexible, so it means that it's flexible and strong. Maybe wood or metal are the best so far, but thick plastic. Let's see if it works with this. Thick plastic. Let's put it on. What do we think is going to happen? Have a chat with your buddy. Prediction? Ready? Okay. Okay, so again, bendy, more bendy. It's going to, okay, so thick plastic. So it's also plastic isn't one material. It's lots of different types of material. So we've seen there that 2 wouldn't be really ideal, but 3 passed this test. So we'd probably do more testing after this. So no matter what you're looking at doing or this problem that you're trying to solve, it's the same procedure overall. You have a question or a problem, you have an idea or testing, you review it, and then you report back your findings and see if you need to do more testing. It applies to all problems that you want to solve. So let's try another test. Imagine you were designing, let me reach over, a helmet to go into space. Like you'd put this on and there we go, that's better. Okay. So you have to have a visor that would be able to block out some of the light, look cool, but also you'd still be able to see out. So with transparency, the amount of light that it gets through. So you'd test different materials again. So maybe you'd hold it up to light and you'd see you might have a meter underneath it. So you'd shine the same light through it all the time and see what goes through. You might make predictions as well, but you'd hold it up to the light initially. You'll see that a bit of light is getting through that. Then we try some of the materials we tested earlier on, like metal. Is it good at transparency? Chat to your buddy. Do you think metal's going to be good at letting light through? No, not really. It's kind of thick, no light's getting through that at all. So this would be good for keeping out light. Tissue's kind of good. It's less less light getting through than the leaf. So you'd test like paper, the bubble wrap, plastic. Like plastic wasn't perfect for the stuff before, but plastic is great for letting light through. So if you wanted something clear, it's great, but you might get a different type of plastic that only lets particular colors of light through. So you'd find through testing the right material for you. Or if you wanted to do something else with like hydro properties, like something that soaks up stuff. So you'd take water and you'd have your different materials along and you'd do the same kind of testing again. So no matter what you're doing, you're following a procedure that will give you an answer. And there's lots of little elements that you can do with this. Like if you have a little tray of water, you might put stuff in, like there's some styrofoam, you put that in. Does that soak up water? Like the problem you have is you might spill some liquid in the lab. What's the best material for absorbing liquid and cleaning it up? Like then you'd test the hydro properties of different materials. So you'd put some in and some would soak up, but some would be impermeable, which means that they're waterproof. Like that's not letting any water come out of it. Whereas like a leaf, what did a leaf do? If you put a leaf in, leaf's not soaking it up. And then you kind of think of, well, why did trees have leaves? I thought it was about them getting water. Well, look, leaves guide the water down to their roots. That's where trees get their water from. Or sponge. We used sponge for insulation earlier on. If we put a sponge into this, is it soaking up? You've used sponges in other places. Yes, look, it soaks up really well. And you might be able to do this and you'd take it and you'd squeeze it then out over something and you'd be able to measure the amount of it, or you'd soak it up and you'd do that and you'd soak it in and you'd see how much it does. You'd repeat the test. So that's about, I'd hold it down on the table, read it. It's about 7 milliliters. You might do a test again. You might squeeze it into something else. This is an extra little bit that you could do. If you squeeze it into one thing, you measure it. You measure the weight. Oh, tear that. There we go. And you get 7 there. And if I pour this into this, and then look at how much it is, there I'm getting 7 as well. So the same 7 milliliters is equal to 7 grams. So there's tests with weight, how much a liquid weighs, how much of volume, the space it takes up. So there's lots of different tests that you can do. And the final test that I'm going to do today is dangerous. You are tasked. This is the problem we have. It's a pretty big problem. I'm a little bit nervous about this because sometimes when I do experiment, things go wrong. And although that's all right because you learn from it, this one has jeopardy in it. You are testing old egg fossils in the lab and you need to transport them to somewhere else. They are precious and fragile and we need to ensure that they are protected safely and they don't get damaged on the journey. What should we wrap them in? Have a chat with your buddy. The aim of this experiment is to see what materials are best at absorbing energy by cushioning, crumpling, or distorting in a shape that protects our little delicate egg inside. What would be good of it? Think of other things in life where there's protection systems. Like, think of it like a car. In the past, cars were made of hard, rigid metals that had no airbags even. And in an accident between two cars, all the energy from the impact would be transferred to the other car, and the passengers would be injured because it would cause a lot of damage. Nowadays, things are much safer. Cars are rigid, but they have crumple zones that are able to absorb or take in the energy, and there's airbags to cushion the people inside. So I have some eggs, 2 eggs, precious eggs here, and I have some materials. I have some felt, I have some bubble wrap, I have some tin foil, I have some plastic, and I have some paper. So which do you think would be best at doing this? Like, I'm thinking, like, all of them. I just wrap them in all of them and see what would work best. But I probably think the bubble wrap is probably the best way to go. So I'm going to pull the bubble wrap. Oop, nearly dropped it. Okay, good. I nearly dropped it before I wrapped it up. So I'm going to wrap the bubble wrap that way. And I'm going to get more bubble wrap. And again, I'm putting these crumbs, so I'm putting it like nice and thick. So I'm not just wrapping it flat. I'm putting like spaces around it. I'm going to get more bubble wrap. It's over here. I'm going to put more. I'm not going to put the metal in it, so I'm going to put the bubble wrap. So now the egg is wrapped up in bubble wrap, safe, fossil, where nothing can happen to it. Do I have to drop it? Okay, I have to. Okay. Confidence. Believe in science. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's fine. Okay. I should have tried. Look, I know. This is why we test. Though actually, and we're testing with normal eggs, not dinosaur eggs. It's fine. But like when I do that, I'll go higher. Go on. Oh, that sounded harder. Push. Success. Great success. No egg break. Haha. Well, a little bit. Okay, I dropped that a little bit high. So I need to do a better job of that. But the thing to remember from all of this is no matter what material you're testing or what you're testing it for, you always start with the problem or question. You come up with an idea or a test. You test the material, record your answers, and evaluate your results. After that, you communicate what you find out, and that's exactly what we're going to do now by having a chat with Clara Zay. Clara, how are you? Back again.
Good. How are you? Nice to see you again.
Yeah, same to you. We were busy inside doing some testing. You're a scientist. How did we do in there?
I think you did good. There's lots of materials to test and lots of tests to do and repeat.
To repeat? Did we do something wrong?
No, not at all. But if you're testing something once, it doesn't give you the confidence in the answer. So say, like, you wouldn't decide a sports league after just one match. So you do have every team play lots of times to see what was the best overall against everybody. It's kind of like that. The more that you test things, the more sure you are about the results that you got.
Oh, okay, because you could have set something up wrong and you'd never know if you only did it once. So you probably want other people to repeat the tests in other places as well?
Yes, exactly. That's what being a scientist is all about. To work as a team and answer our questions and improve life. So, as we saw in the experiment, materials all have loads of different properties which can be used to help us with different tasks. And I do that in my work, and Intel does exactly the same. Their whole business is built about understanding how materials behave.
Or misbehave.
Yeah, but it's hard to catch because if you're working on a teeny tiny scale, we need to understand how materials behave at an atomic level as well as a large level. So the microchips that are being made at Intel are present in our laptops and computers and everywhere. And to make these requires precision in lots of different ways, as the chips are super sensitive to things like light, dust, vibration, heat, even air.
Air? So does that mean if someone farts in the factory, that mean all the computer chips made that day are a bit crap?
No. The Intel chips are manufactured in special clean rooms. They push out dirt, keep out light, and maintain certain temperatures. Did you actually know that every square inch of human skin has 10,000 microorganisms and an average of 32 million bacteria?
No.
Yeah, and every time Every minute, we lose tens of thousands of dead skin cells of our body. So, as I mentioned before, on top of all the other possible contaminations on microchips, humans turn out to be very dirty too. And in Intel, all the workers have to wear protective suits called bunny suits because they are all white and make everybody look like big Easter bunnies. And you're going to try on now. While I tell everybody else about what happens at Intel.
Yeah, I kind of figured that had happened. Okay.
So if you're working in chip manufacturing, you wear one of these suits. Every morning, staff go through a step-by-step process of putting on the special protective equipment and making sure that there's no cross-contamination. Then when you're completely covered, you enter the clean room, the big room where all the chips are made. And the bunny suit keeps everything clean as you work making the microchips. It's breathable and flexible, which allows you to move around without getting too hot. The material is very special as it won't interfere with the chips, even considering how sensitive they are. Intel also care about the environment. The suit is made from ethically sourced and sustainable material, and they make sure that the suit is disposed of properly every day after work, as all the workers at Intel care about their impact on the environment. Are you okay there?
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm getting, it's, I'm trying to rush, and I should have done this a bit properly. Like, people, I'm sure they do. They're probably, it's fine. Yeah, this is like a, there we go. And then I put gloves. Maybe I'll put the hat on. Like I'll put this.
I don't think that's right.
It'll help. Makes sense, but I think I need more training in this. Ah, check it out. Look, I got the full gear on. Like, I might not have got it perfect, but I'm still learning. That's what the whole point is. Trying new stuff out and trying new things, and that's what we were doing today. And what exactly did we learn? Well, we've tested materials and we've seen that no matter what material you're testing or what you're testing it for, you always start with the problem or question. You come up with an idea or a test, you test the material, you record your answers, and you evaluate your results. And to me, that's actually really reassuring and relaxing. I don't need to know everything about all materials. I just need to know how to work scientifically, and I'll get there in the end. It's the same for you. When you're thinking of inventing or creating something, you should think about what it's made from and what material will be best for the job. You should think about where those materials come from too. Intel makes sure that their materials are all resourced in a responsible manner, and so should you. And when you're finished with anything, remember to recycle the materials so that they can be used again by somebody else. All of this PPE, this personal protective equipment, is made to last as long as possible, rather than being single use and then just thrown away. You have the makings of invention inside you, and the world needs ideas and wants you to come up with ones that are big, small, and just get to it, start creating. Like most things, you need to practice, and you learn how as you go along that you'll fail lots of times and you'll come up with new ideas, you'll fail again, and eventually you'll get there. That's what the whole point of all this is. That's part of it. Failure is part of this too. But when you come up with something, an idea, a good one, does it feel good? So what are you waiting for? Go make something of yourself. You've got all you need inside you. Good luck.